Hey folks, it's Abby, and today I'm going to be going through the 5 books that I managed to read in October. So as most of you will know, I usually do balancing the books each month, which is where I compare how many books I've brought in and are still on my TBR to how many I read, and if I don't manage to balance the number out, then I have to unhaul some books. And I said at the beginning of the year that October didn't count because it's my birthday month and I knew I'd be getting books in, and that I'd be busy doing stuff. I am so glad that I had the foresight to do that, because I got like 50 books. The video's up here if you'd like to watch it, but so I'm not balancing the books this month because I would fail drastically and have to get rid of a third of my TBR. Thank you so much again to everybody who sent me any books. On top of this, I also had a pretty busy October. Obviously my birthday, so the actual day was pretty busy. Then my parents came down the weekend before we went to London for a trip, which was amazing. So it was a busy time. And then I also read a book that put me into a huge slump. So I barely got through any books. But let's go through the 5 books I did manage to complete and have a quick chat about them. Babel. I read the final 90 pages of this on the 1st of October, and ergo it counts as an October read. So I mentioned this in my September reading wrap-up, balancing the books, and I at the time gave it 4 stars. It's 5 stars. This is a fantastic dark academia book written by r.f.kuang. It follows individuals of colour, so 2 Asian boys, 1 black girl and a white girl, working in a translations department in Oxford University. And all of them aren't accepted there for a variety of mixing reasons, either their race, their gender, their ethnicity, their social status, combined together. This is a very slow read, a very like deep thinking read, and usually I'm not into slow books, but this one was so good, so good. You want to read this one slowly. It will take a long time, it's not a small book, but you want to read it slowly. It's goddamn beautiful. Then for another book that is goddamn beautiful, and that is The Imagination Chamber by Philip Pullman. This was actually sent to me by Renee from Renee Reads. I will link her Instagram down below, and she sent me this for my birthday, so thank you very much. And I read it because it was beautiful and I wanted a quick read after not finishing anything. This is basically some collected ideas from Philip Pullman, some different thoughts that he had for Lyra and her world, some of them very short, of either different scenes that he could have written within his Dark Materials and the Book of Dust, or just conversations between characters, different paths he could have gone down. And it's a very interesting little book, and I'm very glad that I read it and I can add it to my Lyra's World little collection that I have up there. Then another small read, and again this one was sent to me for my birthday, this time by Caitlin from My Cheshire Rabbit, so her channel will be linked down below, and this is The Man Who Planted Trees by Giono. This is a very small, environmentally based classic by Vintage, which it has 2 stories in this version. The first is the story of the man who planted trees, and it's basically this old man who hides away from society and just keeps planting trees every single day to build up this forest on an area of land that has been decimated by farming and by human actions. The second story is actually just the son of the man who wrote this talking about the story and how it developed in popular culture. It's a beautiful little book, absolutely gorgeous, very small, but very beautiful, and I'm so glad that it's on my shelves now. Thank you, Caitlin. This was a 4-star read. Then I read an actual book, everyone rejoice, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. Oh my god, why did I leave this so long? It's so good. This is a 5-star read. This is a YA fantasy series where girls who bleed gold are considered impure, and before they used to be killed off, however they could manage, because these girls are actually stronger than regular humans. But due to a new order that was agreed to by the king, but was actually set up by his cousin, they are actually taken in and trained to defeat these death strikes. I always call them death strikes, and now I'm wondering if it's death streaks. Anyway, they're taken in to kill these creatures that are destroying villages, raiding, killing girls. They're taken in and trained how to kill these beasts. But it's a lot more complicated than that. I adore kind of how this discusses feminism and racism and misogyny and the power that every individual can have, and how things can be more complex than they first seem when you dive into them. There's a lot of messages in this YA book, but it's also just incredibly engrossing. So engrossing. I'm so excited to read the Merciful Ones. I need to check with Waypoint books that they have the version with the sprayed edges because I need it. And I'm so excited to carry on with more writing from Namina Forna. Absolutely fantastic. And then unfortunately I ended the month on a pretty bad note. So I read The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. This book is over 1,000 pages long. I buddy read it with Carrie from Caring for Books, again linked down below, and it was awful. This is set in, does it say what year it starts in? No, it's just set in the 12th century, and we follow a few different generations as this cathedral in this specific village at the start is built, and the struggles, the strife, the setbacks and all of that happen around this cathedral's building. There's a character in here that is possibly the most evil character I have ever read. The scenes in here, there are some that are so graphic that me and Carrie checked that each other were okay. I don't usually need trigger warnings at all, and yet we have to check we were okay. And then also it really is a book about cathedrals. Out of the 1,000 odd pages, 600 of them are just talking about building the cathedral. Like, go in aware of that, okay? That's what it is. That is what the book is. There were bits that I could have enjoyed if this had been written differently. The end 250 pages I enjoyed. If it had been written by a woman, then I wouldn't have had so much issue with the other sections of the violence towards women and the way that certain men acted in certain scenarios. As it is, did not enjoy that at all. That was the main issue. I've read Fall of Giants, you can't see it, but I've read Fall of Giants by Ken Follett before and it wasn't as bad in there, but again, he does not write women very well. In that book, he's writing women as though they are very grateful and very pleased to the fact that their men have been able to orgasm during sex, but they're like, oh, I don't matter, I'm perfectly happy like that. No woman thinks like that. No, you can tell he means well. He always puts them, like, he's always promoting the feminist ideals, the people who are raping these women are always seen as bad, but it just very much is written by a man. Me and Carrie probably would have both DNF'd this if we hadn't been reading it together. I'm glad we managed to finish it. It's a really pretty cover. I'm glad we managed to finish it, and I do actually know a lot more now about cathedrals and religious buildings kind of in Europe and the UK than I did, so I'm always up for more knowledge. But I wouldn't recommend this book. I would recommend it more readily to male readers than female, just purely because of the fact that Ken Follett's writing of women is not great. So as a woman you can feel that, but any cis men are not gonna click to that, I don't think. Some will, I'm sure. But yeah, so they'll probably have a more enjoyable time and kind of take what Ken Follett meant to give us rather than what he actually gave us. So if you're a bloke and you're interested, you'll probably enjoy this more than I did. Despite the fact that I finished Pillars of the Earth on like the 20th, 22nd, it put me in such a big slump that I did not read anything else for the rest of the month. So these are the 5 books that I read. It looks better than it is because obviously I read most of this in September, so it's actually just this. But yeah, didn't get through a lot of books. Already have finished, as of filming, 3 books this month. It's the 7th. I'd started them in October, but still, it's nice to actually be getting through books again rather than struggling. So please let me know how your October reading went. Have you read any of these and are you going to pick any of them up? Because I recommend these 4 very highly. If you've read Pillars of the Earth and you enjoyed it, please let me know why, especially if you're female. I'd love to know how you felt about his portrayal of women. I would love to know this. So yes, let me know down below in the comments what you read this month. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see some more from me, you can hit the red subscribe button down below, and all of the links to my various social medias are down there as well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye folks!